Hi, and welcome to episode 150 of the Heartland Knits podcast. My name is Vicki, but you can find me as Heartland Knits on Ravelry and Instagram. And today is Sunday, August 7th, 2016. This might be a kind of quick little episode because I am recording kind of before I go to church, so I have a limited amount of time. I usually record right when I get home, but I thought I had a little extra time. I thought I'll just sit down and kind of try to get through this, and hopefully everything will run smoothly. I have a bunch of new things to show you. August sort of becomes my sort of the beginning of the new year, of my knitting year. Kind of after knitting camp is over, I can, think of all kinds of new things. I'm usually running right down to the wire like I did this year, finishing things. And so then I get kind of all kinds of ideas of what I want to cast on and just let go and do them. So I have a lot of new things to show you. So let's start out with what's on my needles. And I have cast on a few more things. I cast on a new sweater this week. Let's see. I feel like I've never done this before. I cast on a new sweater. You might have remembered me talking about that I wanted to kind of get another sweater knit before ZK, and then I wanted to get another sweater knit before knitting camp. And this is the sweater. I've had this yarn for quite a few years, and this was one of the things I cast on last August when I cast on all the things. And the design I was doing, I was like having to switch gauge, and it's like I just kind of didn't like they just didn't go together. I like the yarn and I like the pattern. I actually still want to do that sweater, but I just didn't want to do it in this yarn. And then I kind of had another idea of what I wanted to what design I wanted to use with the yarn, or a couple other ones. And one of those I cast on right before knitting camp. That was going to be sort of the project I took to knit on there. And I love that sweater too. That had a lot of cables like in the sleeve. It's called Hannelore. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern. And I still want to knit that sweater. I just didn't like it in this yarn. The yarn that I am using, that I have had for a while, is a Sun Valley Fibers yarn. And my tags are tagged in with the intense color, but this is a color she's changed the name on since then. That's how far back this goes. And this is, I think, what she calls Bazinga Blue now. It's this bright, it's actually a brighter, more kind of royally blue than it's looking on my camera. And the design that I settled on, I kind of went through Ravelry because I was, thinking about, well, I guess I'll just kind of make up my own thing. And so I went through, kind of pattern searched on Ravelry, and I came up with this one, and I thought it looked really pretty, and I've never made one of her sweaters before, and it is called the Endearment. And this is what it looks like. It is a design by Hanna Makashevska, and it has this really pretty kind of lacy, cable-y front, and then the back is relatively plain. It just has a couple little pretty features, and so I thought I would give it a try. I bought it and started knitting it, and so this is where I am. It's top-down raglan, so I'm still on the sort of where it's hard to see, but this will show kind of the lacy front there. I've gotten to where I've cast on for the neckline stitches, and then the rest of it is just the top down raglan for the back. So it's got a little bit of interest. It's not like totally plain or anything, but so every row there's a little little something to do. But I think I am liking finally found the right right pattern for this yarn. I really want to get this done. I have a dress, a summery dress that has this blue. It'll look really pretty with it. And that's kind of why I wanted to get it done before ZK, and then I wanted to get it done before camp so I could wear them together, because I do like to match things. And so I would sort of like to get this done relatively quickly so that I have at least, you know, we're running out of summer here. So I want to get this kind of done. So this is one of the things I've been trying to kind of work on a little bit every day, and been really, really enjoying knitting it. So that is one of the, and I have all these like strings attached. I have 3 skeins of this yarn, and so I am kind of alternating all 3 of them at the same time, so that one of them was a little bit lighter than the other 2. It was probably dyed at a different time or something. So, you know, I want to get all of them incorporated at the same time. And also then when I pick up to do the sleeves, everything will match, instead of like alternating 2 and then having to, you know, save some back, or, you know, figuring out where to enter, you know, work with that 3rd skein and stuff. And so anyway, I've got 3, so you have, you know, 2 on one side and 1 on one side all the time, and it will incorporate all of them at the same time. And I have this in a big basket so that all 3 skeins can kind of sit in there. And then the other project, I showed you it last week, but I made some more progress. And this is another thing that's kind of, it's fun to do, but it's like I have the finished product in mind. And this one too. And this is my Faroese shawl. I got about halfway through the lace kind of panel that runs along it. This is the Faroese shawl from this book, and also an Old Knitters, and it is a design by Marilyn Van Keppel, and it looks like that. So I'm about halfway through that lace band, and it's just called Faroese shawl. Descriptive name. And so I've been trying to work on this a little bit, and yes, they are almost the exact same colors. I have a couple other things that are almost the same color. I don't know, it's just cast on all the blue things. And another yarn that I have been kind of thinking about, I kind of ran into it when I was trying to dig something out where, you know, the closet where all the fiber lives. And this was a yarn that I bought last year at Stitches Midwest. And I thought I need to knit on it. It's a really, really beautiful yarn. It's this beautiful, beautiful teal. And it is from the Verdant Griffin. It's her Traveler base, which is a DK, and the color is called Athena. It's so pretty. And when I bought this, I bought a whole bunch of it because I just wanted to do something really cable-y in it. So when I think of cables, I think of Alice Starmore. She has beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Fair Isle sweaters, but I love her kind of cabled sweaters. And so I pulled out this book, which I've had for a really long time. This is Tudor Roses. This is the first printing of Tudor Roses. I have the hardcover books. This one was done in like hardcover and soft cover. There were a limited amount of the hardcover. And I think a few years ago, she reissued it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, you know, book with designs that are just, it's, you know, stunningly photographed. I don't know if she redid the photographs and things in the new book. I don't know that I've ever kind of really looked through it. I do know that there are some designs that were originally in my copy of this book, that were not included in the new book, and then there are some that are in the new book that have the same name, but they're different than the ones of that name in this book. It's kind of different. So anyway, I think the one that I have always loved is Henry VII. And so let me look at, so this is the kind of all, it's got a kind of an all over cable design. You can see in this picture, this was printed or published in like maybe 2000, maybe 1999. But they have that sort of very kind of big, boxy kind of look that was more popular back then. This is it in the man's version, but the cables don't show up quite so much in that one. So as it was written, it was using her then worsted weight yarn or Aran weight yarn. I have a DK weight yarn, so it's automatically going to be smaller because I'm not going to want like a great big and boxy sweater. So I plan to make it probably into a cardigan because I just wear those more. And I think using a smaller yarn, and you know, I'm starting with a sleeve. I've just barely started, but this is where I am. It has this kind of like little, almost like a little bracelet edge with these little knots. And you can see how beautiful this yarn is knit up. So that's as far as I am with that. I just kind of cast this on just to see how it was, and it's so beautiful. So anyway, that is going to be coming along. My blue shimmer, which I showed you last week, has been coming along. I am down to this far, and those colors are not coming up right. I say that with the bohus all the time. There's more kind of like the blues are looking very sort of gray, but and then this kind of tealy one. I was about at this point, and I kind of where this this motif is. I like to have them so that they're mirrored across the button band, and you had to sort of, it's like start figuring that kind of way up here. And when I got down to here, I discovered, oh, I hadn't figured that right. I don't know. I hadn't looked like kind of far enough down on the chart to realize that that's where kind of that repeat needed to start. And I wanted those to line up. So anyway, I had to pull out about 6 rounds, and then I wanted to let it sit and rest for a little bit because, you know, I wanted to, it was worth it to me to pull it out. I just needed a little space, and then I got it back up to where it is. And so I'll keep going with that. And I feel like there's other things that I've cast on, but I can't see them or think of what they are right now. So anyway, I have nothing newly off the needles, but I do have sort of a partial thing to show you for spinning or for sewing. And that is kind of one day I just, you know, last week I showed you the fabric that I bought, kind of another summery dress. And because we're running out of summer, I wanted to get going and sewing on it right away. And so I finished the bodice of that dress. So this got no skirt, but I just love how it looks. And but I also love, I learned a new thing, and I'm pleased as punch about it, is I put this black piping along the neckline and the armholes. It calls for putting this like piping in, and I hadn't intended on doing that because I liked how, you know, mine was joined before. But when I found this fabric, I thought the like black piping would look really pretty, kind of, with how the butterfly wings are outlined in black and stuff. So, and this was piping that I bought. They had black was the only like prepackaged piping. You can make your own, but I wasn't going to start out doing that. Um, and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. If it, you have to like have it wedged in there between the lining and the outer fabric. And there are things that I would do differently. Um, because you can see where because you attach the piping to the outer fabric, and also this outer fabric is like it's probably not as like nice and like thin of a cotton as this is, but it's not like totally stiff either. But I felt like it was a little more sturdy to just kind of like play with. Like I could try to put it in, and then if it didn't work out, I could rip it out and it wouldn't, show the after effects as much as like a more delicate cotton. Um, but I loved it, and I loved putting it in. It was it was kind of the first thing in sewing that, you have to you sew the piping onto the outer fabric, and then you kind of put the two pieces together, um, the outer fabric and the lining, after that. So you get a chance to kind of like redo, like if you don't get the outer fabric close enough to the piping, because you just want it right there along the edge. That the first time the first half of it was a little bit farther away than kind of when I got used to it and could get like right up close to it. And so I just kind of went over it again and got the first half closer. So, kind of like in knitting where you get that like little bit of redo, in sewing, that doesn't happen it just doesn't seem to happen as much because, I'm a rip and reknit kind of girl. So, that was kind of fun to do, on there. And I'm fairly happy with how I got the side seams, where it comes together, like one kind of, goes down, they kind of go down like that together. So that was a little tricky to get worked out. So I'm undecided about the skirt on this, if I want to use the same skirt that I've used for my other dresses with the pleats. The skirt in the pattern has kind of an all over gathered, and I'm not sure. I mean, some of my store-bought dresses have that, and they're fine. So I'm not, it kind of, I finished this on Thursday, I think, or Friday, and it's just kind of sat there like since then. But I do really want to finish that up, so that I still have summertime to wear it. And then quickly in spinning, I picked up a project that I started a really long time ago. I think it was 2005. I went to Michigan Fiber Fest and stayed the whole, I was there like on Wednesday, and I took a whole, 3 days of classes with Galina Kamaleva, who does the Ornberg shawls. And the first day we did like 2 days of like knitting with lace and stuff. And then the first day was spinning, using Russian spindles. And at that point, maybe it was 2004. I don't even really remember. But I didn't even know, I didn't know how to long draw. I spun on a wheel, and at that point I really wasn't spinning on drop spindles even. And I didn't know how to long draw on a wheel, but the Russian spindles are kind of what drew me, like how the spinning vortex kind of grabbed me is the first time I went to Stitches, I just went to the market. It was still when it was up in Minneapolis, and Galina was doing a demo in her booth, of spinning on the Russian spindle, and she would just spin it back and spin it, back on and draft back. And it just looked like magic what she was doing. And so I took this class, and I wasn't very good at it. It took me a long time to practice, but you have like the Russian spindles and these came from Russia. They have kind of wood burned into them in Russian. It says Orenburg, or that's what she said it said. I can't read Russian. But so I started spinning. I bought some cashmere. I bought a whole bunch of these like luxury fibers. But I bought a bunch of cashmere, and I started spinning on the spindles. At that point, I had like, maybe I bought two. You get like a shorter one for spinning, and then a taller one for plying. And I think I got those two, and maybe I got a couple more. I know then at other times I bought more. Oh, I see. I think I'm making a mess here. It could be bad. So anyway, I spun cashmere on all my the spinning spindles that I had, and then it kind of got stuck. I think I've done a few little bobbins. I have to find them. I know I have them somewhere. That are plied, because I'm going to ply it with this cone of silk thread. But in order to do that, you have to take what your singles fiber and kind of put it along with your strand of silk thread, and just you're not spinning this. These are like two separate little plies, and this is the end of my spindle is like quite thick. They're not spun quite that thick, but and you don't wrap them because you're not adding any twist. You just kind of wind them on to the plying spindle, and then when this is full, I'm going to put some more on here, which is why it's all attached. This spindle full of singles is on here now, but I'm going to add some of this other because I can have more on here. And then when it's full, you ply off of this spindle and wind it into a little kind of round bobbin. It just takes forever to wind, like you're winding by hand, like turning to wind this on there. But this is like how they were traditionally done, and that was my aim when I started, was to do an authentic Orenburg shawl. So I picked that back up, and I'm gonna get these like all plied up, and then I can spin more singles on these. The cashmere, I know I bought like 3 ounces of cashmere. I think I'm down to like, I don't know. It just seems to multiply when it's in the closet. I feel like there's more than 3 ounces in there now, and I have spun some. So anyway, that is a big project that I would really like to keep working on. And then for show and tell, I don't have any, like big new yarn, but I got the possibility of yarn in the mail. One of the things I was thinking about is casting on like sweater wise and things, is I have never knit a real Gansey. They have like a knit and purl patterns in them, and I've never like knit one of those. And so I had a color card from this company. It's in the UK. It's called Frangipani, and it doesn't say exactly where they are, but it is kind of authentic Gansey wool. Gansey wool, because it's all these like kind of knit and purl, like very texture patterns. It has these kind of mini plied yarns. They're very, very round. Here, maybe if I do it like that, you'll be able to see it better. It's a very round yarn. It's a fingering weight yarn. And, you know, I had a color card that I'd gotten 10, 12 years ago, or maybe probably like 15 years ago. And I I didn't even know if they were still, you know, selling this. And one of my friends at camp said, oh yeah, and they have a whole bunch of new colors. You should get a new color card. And so I contacted them on their website. They have like a contact, send me a color card kind of thing. And I got it. You know, I sent it kind of right when I got home from camp because it was in my notes, and I got it this week. So, I mean, it's really fast. And so there's all these really pretty colors. I'm like, you know, thinking about, I'm not sure. There's this really pretty teal, but it's very close to this. I don't know. I'm really loving this pewter, which, you know, gray is not usually my color, but I think that's a really pretty gray. And I love the raspberry, and I love the this bottle green. I think is really pretty. So anyway, I'm looking at these and kind of dreaming about that. But that's kind of my only like kind of big show and tell. Anyway, it is looking like it is about time for me to head off. So I'm gonna you know, close this down. So, and I'm going to end this off because otherwise I'm going to be late. And until I see you, hopefully next week, from my heart to yours, happy knitting.